Hello everyone and welcome back to Arctic Retro. In this video I'm gonna finish off the series where I have constructed and built this rather special ITX Mini computer, and in the first episode you saw me testing out the motherboard and the power supply, and in the second part I constructed and built the case for it, which was quite fun. In this episode, which is the last one, I'm gonna install a hard drive and see if I can install some old Windows operating systems and run some games on it. So yeah, hopefully it will be interesting, so please check it out. Time to insert the hard drive and check that we can install something on this, and yes, oops, I think it has to go from the other side. I should have installed the hard drive before I screwed down the motherboard stand, but yeah. It's not always that you think ahead of time when you construct something like this from scratch. The mounting screws for the hard drive on this side I obviously cannot reach, so I just leave it like this, but that's no big deal. It sits very nicely now in that frame. Or not so fast, I am able to screw in one of the side screws, and yeah, that will support it even better. This video is sponsored by VIA, my preferred manufacturer of printed circuit boards. If you visit VIA, you can get an instant quote on PCB manufacturing. Also check out their other services like CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication and injection molding. Also check out their new solutions for OEM EMS production. By the way, right now VIA is hosting their 5th PCB design contest. So please check it out and see how you can win good prizes and get good discounts on PCB manufacturing. So head over to VIA right now and check out their services. Now for the IDE cable, I have a couple of options. I can use this one, which has an adapter and then a regular IDE cable. I have this very long one here, or I could use this one, which is the small contact on one end and the large one on the other end, but it's quite long as well, so I need to make a shorter cable, but for now I'm just gonna cut this. Yeah, that will tuck away over there. So the reason I made this rather tall is because I want to fit one expansion card into here, and yeah, this is fairly high. I'm not going to use it, but I just want to be able to fit a card. But now I need to lift up the top in order to get it in, but that's okay. That's just a TV card I'm not going to use. Here's a smaller one. This is a post analyzer card or PC analyzer. It shows post codes or power on self-test codes. Okay, I'm gonna leave this in and then I'm gonna see what happens. I haven't tested this card. I haven't tested it in any computer. Although I know this computer works, just leave it in, and yeah, let's take a look and see if we can get the hard drive up and running. I still haven't got the correct connector. I have ordered some connectors that will fit this, but they haven't arrived yet, so I'm just gonna use this temporary solution. And then I need to make some arrangements for the cable. I'm not really sure how to do that. Let's see now, does it still work after all this handling? Oh yeah, there's a lot of blingy lights and numbers on the postcard. So it showed the different numbers and it ended up with FFEE. Of course, those codes will vary from motherboard to motherboard, but it's something you can use to diagnose faults on motherboards. Let's see now if we can find a hard drive. ID hard drive auto detection, press enter. No, nothing. So I couldn't get that hard drive detected no matter what I tried, but then I took this other IDE cable that actually has dedicated power into the hard drive, and it seems like yeah, this hard drive needs power. I thought these smaller 2.5 inch drives didn't need separate power input. So let's get into the BIOS now. See if it's detected. Oh yes, there it is, Samsung HM160HC. Okay, then we just exit and save. Let's see if there's anything on it then. Probably not, hopefully not. Yeah, disk boot failure. Alright, but now I can install MS-DOS and then I'm gonna install Windows 98, I think. I connected the machine to the power supply. I just wanted to see how much current it draws, and it actually draws not a lot. Now with both the floppy drive, hard drive and that postcard, 2.5 amps. Then I can probably continue to use this 4 amp power supply. Alright, I have MS-DOS 622. Gonna install that first. Not really sure how big of a partition I can make on this drive, but we'll see about that. There were some limitations in the MS-DOS era as far as I remember. So I'm gonna set up MS-DOS from floppy. I could of course connect a GoTech drive or something, but I choose to use real floppies, at least for now. Maybe later I will use a GoTech. Okay, this is an MS-DOS upgrade, so I need to install the full version of MS-DOS first. Okay, need to find that. I couldn't find any other MS-DOS floppy disks, but I have this, the original Windows 95, so I'm going to start with that, and that's for a PC without Windows. Not really sure if it will work without MS-DOS already installed, but I'm gonna try. And that's no less than 14 floppy disks. And what are the chances that all of those still works? We'll see about that. If this doesn't work, I'm simply gonna connect the GoTech drive and download the rest onto that. The setup started, continue, press enter, configure unallocated disk space. Yeah, I want to do that. Okay, it started to format, however, that failed, an error was detected. So maybe I have to do it manually. So maybe it has to do with the partition size. So I'm gonna use F-disk here, and we can see it has already created a partition. So I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna create a new partition. So I'm gonna create a smaller partition. Not use the maximum. I'm gonna create a partition with 500 megabytes. And then I can create another one, an extended DOS partition. Okay, so now I have 2 partitions. Let's see now if it wants to install. Yes, now it's formatting. I don't remember the maximum partition size for Windows 95, but probably higher than 500. I can always change the partitions later. So now it's just a matter of a lot of disk swapping here, and I'll come back if anything interesting happens. Well, already on disk 2 I got some read errors, but after a few retries it actually came through. Yes, look at that. Okay, I didn't attach a mouse, but you could always use the keyboard. And we have almost read error. So I fear that this is not gonna proceed to the end, but I'll try anyway. Now I ran into some trouble. It just asked me to remove the disk and then boot, and I did, but it failed still, so I'm not really sure why. But it made a partition and a C drive, so there are some files copied onto that, but I'm not really sure why it failed. Gonna check the log. Restart equals failed. Alright, I had to give up using real floppies. I couldn't install Windows 95. So I attached my Gotek drive and it's booted right away. I downloaded MS-DOS 6.22 from the big internet and onto the Gotek drive. So yeah, I'm gonna install it now. Since I have a Norwegian keyboard, I obviously need to set it to Norway. Change to disk 2. Disk 3. Alright, there we have it, MS-DOS on the disk. Now it's time to install Windows 98. However, I think that came on, for the most part, CD-ROM, and obviously I don't have a CD-ROM connected. So I'm wondering what to do here. It is kind of noisy because it now stands on metal spikes, metal bolts, and there's a lot of vibration, not only the fan. I couldn't find a floppy disk version of Windows 98 anywhere. I don't think it exists actually, and that's why I'm now putting in this, which has Windows 95 floppy edition. To be able to install from a CD-ROM, if I downloaded that for Win98, I need of course a CD-ROM player and drivers for DOS and everything like that. So I'm installing Windows 95, and then I'm gonna go the upgrade route with installing USB support. So what's on here then? Not much. Maybe it's disk number 2. Setup. At least it will go a little bit quicker now than we have it on the Gotek, than having to swap a lot of floppies. The version I'm installing now is actually 19, no, it's 21 floppy disks. So I'm back where I started with the Win95 setup. Hopefully no read errors this time. The Windows 95 installation completed. Does it boot into Windows? I haven't tested it. Starting Windows 95. Okay, look at that. Okay, that went pretty quickly. It found my mouse, PS2 mouse. So what's new? I think I'll skip that one. So we're in Windows 95. Let's go into the control panel. It obviously needs drivers for the display. So this is a max resolution. No VIA technology driver. No, I wanted to add USB support to Windows 95, but it turns out the version I installed does not support that, so I have to install the OSR 2 version or later. So I'm just gonna upgrade it now quickly. It's just 24 floppy disks. And that's the so-called Windows 95B version. So the updated Windows 95 installation was complete, and I actually worked long and hard to try to get the USB removable disks to work, but I couldn't get it to work, except a little Google search. I found this package called Extended USB Supplement for Windows 95 that someone has put together, and I installed that, and yes, now I have inserted a USB drive, and yeah, here it is. This is the same that I had in the GoTech. So while this USB support does not support any USB devices like mouse and keyboard and stuff like that, it does actually support removable disks, as you can see. So now I will be able to copy contents of the Windows 95 ISO, which is a CD-ROM image, over to the hard drive and install from there. To find downloadable versions of the old Windows versions, I went to winworldpc.com. They have all kinds of versions of Windows 95, 98, so I now just downloaded this one, second edition retail upgrade ISO file. I haven't even thought about trying to find drivers for the audio and the display, but I will try and find something when I have upgraded to Windows 98. So I downloaded the ISO file and I extracted it with the Win image, and I'm gonna copy it to the USB drive. Also download a couple of games I'm gonna test. Now the drive on the Windows 95 machine has only FAT16 file system, and yeah, that doesn't allow for a very large drive, so I now ran fdisk and converting it to an extended drive. That can support the larger hard drives. Now, working with Windows 95 and DOS back in the day could often be a waiting game, and it is still. Takes a very long time to verify the drive integrity. So now it says that I can create an extended DOS partition of 21,051 megabytes. So now after rebooting there is a drive D, and I'm gonna format it and call it data. I'm gonna use the quick format or else it will take forever. Okay, seems like I have to do a full format after all. Strangely now it says 152 gigs. Before it says 21 on the fdisk command. Waiting, waiting, waiting. So now we should have a newly formatted drive D, and I can insert the USB drive here and copy everything over from that. Okay, doesn't support long names. So here you can see that this new partition is of type FAT32, and it has a capacity of 148 gigabytes, which should be plenty enough for life, I guess, on this old machine. Okay, that took its time. Copied 600 megabytes, took like 15-20 minutes. Okay, now I'm gonna install Windows 98. Not enough conventional memory to check the hard disk. Maybe I'll boot and try again. It says here in the installation notes that I need at least a 486DX and 24 megabytes of RAM, which I have more than enough. I have 224 megabytes. So it's probably the memory that's available to DOS that is the actual problem here. So I booted into DOS and trying to run the setup from there, see if I have better luck. Yeah, no copy protection, so I need a product key, and I just googled for one. Okay, it's invalid. Let's try this one. Nope, it's invalid. After 5 or 6 tries of different keys, I finally found the one that worked. Alright, seems we are ready to install, and it's only gonna take 27 minutes, so I need to find something else to do in the meantime. Yoo-hoo! I finally found the drivers for the video and the audio. No playing video. So I searched high and low for finding the correct drivers. I was into many different sites and downloaded different drivers and installing, uninstalling, and finally I found some that worked. That was actually made by VIA back in the day. So now this machine can show graphics in full color, and it can play audio, so I'm pretty pleased with that so far. Only thing remaining now is network, which I'm gonna try to find a way to set up later. For now, this is how far I want to go with this machine. For the audio, I just connected a 3.5mm jack into the contact, and then my TV actually has audio in that plays when you have it in VGA mode, so that works fine. But what's the fun with an old DOS and the Windows 98 based machine if you can't play any games? So I have some here. Let's try Doom. I don't have a joystick, but I can use the mouse and the keyboard. So yeah, this is the classic game that everyone tries to run on all kinds of machines. Yeah, I can use the mouse. And here, Need for Speed. But now sound. And how do we drive? Okay, that was reverse. So to get sound for all types of DOS games, I probably need to install some DOS drivers. Not really sure, don't remember. I couldn't get any sound on this one at least. So I actually think this one, Prince of Persia and the Need for Speed, is not the full games, just demos, trying to figure out how to play. Yeah, this one too, it's you need a mouse. It's a demo, I think. I remember playing this one back in the day, quite fun. Alright, I'll explore more games in the time coming. Just one more thing, a little personal touch, my own label, if I can place it nicely there. This is just a simple badge I printed on my 3D printer with the Commodore 64 font, and yeah, I just used some metal paint on top of the letters. Yeah, that looks alright. For the power and the hard drive LEDs, I just simply crimp on some contacts and nothing much else. Hard drive LED goes there and power LED goes there. Okay, let's check it out. Yeah. Yes. Hard drive light is blinking. Nice. Now, one thing I already need to do on this machine is to increase the size of the partition C because already it's getting full, and some games complain that wasn't enough room on drive C. So Windows 98 doesn't have any tool for adding or resizing partitions, so I found this one. I remember I used it in DOS back in the day, so I searched for it and I found an old version that runs on Windows 98. So I'm gonna try that, see if I can resize some partitions. Need to find a serial number. Let's try this one. Yeah, that worked. And here's a lot of tools. We have Partition Magic, Partition Info, Partition Magic Mover, Create Rescue Diskettes. Yeah, and there it is, 2 different partitions. Then I'm gonna run the actual Partition Magic. Oh, blue screen of death. Well, that was not uncommon back in the day on Windows 98, Windows 95. Yeah. Now it started, and I can try and extend this drive, resize or move. How this tool works is that it just moves all the blocks on the hard drives and extends partitions. I just want to make it 2000 megabytes. Oh, I can't do that. Maximum size is 502. Maybe I need to convert it then to FAT32 first. Yeah, let's do that. You must have Windows 95B or 98 to access files on a FAT32. Yeah, I have that. Then we need to apply the changes. Yes. Then I'm gonna go into MS-DOS mode to do that. Yes. Nope, that didn't work. I have tried several times, but it just hangs there. So I'm gonna try the DOS version instead. Well, let's see now. So this is the DOS version, but it has almost the same functions. Yes, I want to convert and apply. Yeah, that seems to work better. Okay, the file cannot be opened. Seems to have done its job after all. So let's try and resize this now. But then I guess I need to move this one. Resize, move. So I want to add 1500 megs before and have the same space, and yeah, then we have a free space here, and we can resize this one. Just slide this over there and it should be 2 gigabytes. Then apply, and this might take a very long time. It used to do that back in the day. Oh my god, not enough memory. That's not fun at all. Seems like using this partition magic is not gonna be easy after all. But do you know what? I haven't really put any valuable data on that big partition, so why don't I just delete it? Okay, maybe now we can resize it. 4000, apply. Yeah, that runs pretty quickly. So now it's checking for bad sectors. Finally that completed, and we have a new partition with 4 gigabytes and free space 148. So I finally made it with the partitions. However, I forgot to film the last part, but it turned out okay, but now I wanted to try this SATA drive. It's a 1 terabyte, quite large for this machine, but since it has a SATA interface, you can't easily connect it to this kind of motherboard. But I have this adapter here that goes from SATA to IDE, and of course the IDE connection is on the smaller 44 pin type, so I actually need to use the same cable as I had. Okay, so now I'm connecting that. I already formatted as FAT16 on another machine that has SATA interface. So let's see now if it turns up. Yes, look at that, Toshiba. Okay, so that worked as well. Well, I anticipated that. Why wouldn't it work? But let's see what's on the hard drive. I just used the sys command to make it bootable, but there's nothing on it except I copied a bunch of files since I already had it into the other machine. I copied the Windows 98 full setup and other things. So now this is actually ready to install Windows 98 as well. Yes, I'm actually gonna do that. I might use this hard drive instead. No, I don't have to go via installing Windows 95 from floppy disk images. Yeah, seems to work. So I'm just gonna install this hard drive as well, and I think that is the last thing I'm gonna do with this machine for now. Okay, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I learned a lot during the making of this computer and my special case. Now I have a kind of retro Windows 98 computer and DOS computer that I can play with, and it's easy to reach the hardware and swap things around. Obviously there's a lot of other things I can do to this machine. I could try to get the network up and running and get this machine online and see how that will be, but I'm afraid then the machine might be hijacked immediately by hackers because the security and protection back in the day was not the best in Windows. So this was a rather time-consuming video. I used many hours on the build and also many hours on installing and getting the right drivers and everything. So hopefully it was worth it for you guys to watch what I did. So I just want to say thanks again for watching, and hope to see you soon. And please hit that subscribe and the like button if you want to see more. And a special thanks to my Patreons. See you. Bye bye.